Yo, yo, yo. What's going on, fellas? So before I get into anything, just know the gameplay you're going to be seeing here was from a stream, and it's going to be pretty choppy. I will apologize for that, because unfortunately, my stream, I just don't have the best internet, so just bear with the gameplay on screen. This game might have something to do with, today's topic, which is why fighting games aren't a good product. Now, I know people have already, kind of spoken about this topic already, and it's, a more, newer thing. It kind of stirred up from when 2XKO, got their layoffs and stuff, which, again, I don't really want to talk about that, because everyone's beating that topic to a dead horse. I want to talk about this in particular, because I have my own opinions on this, and I kind of didn't really know how to talk about this myself, personally, but it's just kind of it's kind of something that was damn, I kind of feel the same way as well. So I felt like making my own video on it and throwing in my 2 cents. So I guess with that, let's not waste any time. Let's just get right into it. So when we play most fighting games, as the average schmo, average FGC head, we don't really look at these things, right? We don't really see it nearly as much as a dude who's just trying to critique every game. But these critiques are probably the reason why these games get all these changes and stuff, because, for better or for worse, we end up getting a lot more for these games, and they definitely learn a lot from their critics. However, if you listen to your critics too much, then it might fall apart, because you end up making too much changes that, no one asks for, and then it kind of just puts your game in a bad situation where no one really wants to play it because, it's just not good. You're listening to a really small minority who probably has never touched a game like that or has no good knowledge on the game and is just spouting a bunch of nonsense. So, it's really hard to get your information as a dev if you're just listening to a certain group of people, if you're only listening to the people that just speak negative on the game and you just make changes that make zero sense. So I think there's a lot of reasons why fighting games aren't good products. And when we talk about products, I mean most of the time the game coming in with a bunch of shit you can do. Most games that come out now, not even just fighting games, they're kind of half-assed these days. I'm gonna be real. Even single player games, they only have a story mode, and then after you beat the game, a hard difficulty. That's it. That's just my experience with single player games as well. But no, fighting games, they have it worse. And I think they don't really get it the best either. But let's just go talk about some things real quick. So I think a couple reasons why I personally think fighting games aren't the best product simply comes down to the fact that they don't really have enough characters. Now, this is subjective, and I don't think any game needs a lot of characters. You don't need to have a plethora of characters in the game. For one, if you do, you give players more options to work with, as in more characters to play around with and see if they actually like these characters, because the more characters you have, the more than likely someone's gonna find that character they really like. But if you only have a couple characters in mind, if you're 2XKO and you only have 12 characters, it's not gonna work because, if someone doesn't like those 12 characters or they only like one of those characters, that second character, they're not really gonna care. And I don't know if you guys know, but people in the FGC, they resonate with these characters. They resonate with their own characters. So it's pretty important, I feel, to have you don't necessarily need to have a lot of characters, but just enough characters to, keep your players satisfied. And then, of course, DLC and, free whatever the game decides to do, right? Mostly DLC, more characters will get added over time. Fighters started off with, 20-something characters. Now it has, over, 40 or 50. It has mad characters now. So I think we also just don't let the games develop with the character roster either. We kind of just, shun it early on. But, that's the thing, is, early impressions mean a lot. If the game doesn't really get a lot of momentum early on, it's going to be very hard for it to get its momentum back later down the road, despite whether or not it does better than, you know, what it originally did. So I think just having this, and this may not be like the biggest turning point and like the biggest reason as to why like fighting games aren't a great product, but it's definitely one of them. When you look at games like 2XKO, Invincible Versus is also gonna have like 20 characters in a 3v3 game, which not bad, but you know, not great. Then Tokon, you know, another 24, I think it was like 20 characters for a 4v4 game. That game is played entirely differently, so their reasoning for that is fine to a degree. I mean, it's kind of inexcusable to have 20 characters in a 4v4 game, but for the way the game is designed, it makes sense for that game. But like for Invincible as well, like 20 characters is a little insane, but I think they're just doing that to like just trying to squish in DLC and stuff, which is fine. But again, not everyone vibes with it. If you want my real input on that, I personally don't really mind because I think 20 characters for a 3v3 game is fine. It's just like, you know, it depends on how fast they're gonna add characters and stuff. That is when I'll be like, you know, that's when I'll give in my actual like insight on that, you know, like I'll actually critique that more. But I think as of right now, because the game's not out and, you know, we got, you know, I think they revealed like we're only gonna be like 20 something characters or some shit. I forgot, but yeah, I'm not worried about that. So yeah, I think fighting games just need more characters. I think that's just really it. For the next reason, I think they need more single player content and customization. Now, I'm not saying every fighting game needs to have a customization, but I think customization does play a big role into, like, you know, expression. Like, people like to actually be in the customization and express their character. They want to show off if they're a weeb, if they're a dweeb, if they're a Marvel head, if they're a Last of Us head, or, you know, I'm just saying shit, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, people want to express themselves, and I think, like, you know, shit like that is really cool. And single player content, right? Which customization is also single player content technically. I don't just mean a story mode. I mean just like other stuff. Like obviously most fighting games, they come out with an arcade mode. We get like an arcade mode is whatever. Tekken used to have like Tekken Force, Street Fighter Third Strike also had like a parry mode. And then we also, like, yeah, most fighting games usually just get story modes. Soul Calibur got its whole, like, other story mode thing going on as well. We got Tekken Force. And we had, what else? I'm trying to think of, like, other, like, single-player content for fighting games. Like, time attacks, survivals, that sort of thing. Like, I don't really mind those, but I think the problem with, like, the way fighting games do it is that it either becomes the most generic beat-em-up fighter, or it's, like, a really shitty RPG. Which, is definitely both half the time. Like, when they try to do a single-player content type of mode, like, that doesn't involve, like, the space of the fighting game, it just feels like they're trying to rip off a genre, and it's like they don't really know how to really design the game in a way that kind of feels like the specific genre. It just feels like here, damn, here's your single-player content, like, you know, it doesn't really make sense, personally. Like, you know, like Tekken Force is technically just a shitty beat 'em up. Like, if we're just being honest, it kind of is. And I think also, like, even like Tekken Ball is also pretty fire. Like that's a good single player content. Like, matter of fact, where I'm from, New York, every month in NYC Tekken, they're always doing like a Tekken Ball bracket. It's free, and like the winner usually wins like merch and stuff. So it's, you know, like it's like, I'm just saying, man, you can make these types of modes fun, man. You really can, but I think fighting games just really fail to deliver that, and I have yet to see a fighting game do it. I think the only fighting game we've come close to really like delivering that single player experience in this, I guess in this modern era right now, is like probably Street Fighter 6 with the World Tour mode. Which is, you know, not a bad mode by any means, but it's just, you know, like they got it, you know, they got it, got it. So yeah, I think single player content also does play a big role, like just aside from characters. I do think that's also a thing, but at the same time, like multiplayer games like Apex, Valorant, League of Legends, like they don't really get the same critique fighting games do. Like, why do fighting games have to have single player content, but those games can just not have any content despite having a huge player base? But when a fighting game doesn't have single player content, it's a problem, and it's also a multiplayer game. So it's very confusing to that area. So I don't know. I might just leave that to y'all in the comments. I kind of want y'all opinions on that. So next one, I think better story modes, which kind of falls into the more single player content. But when I say better story modes, I mean like don't just half-ass the story. The story needs to be written good, because you gotta remember, these are people that are going to spend time on characters. Like for example, I do not like characters like Fakuna. Like, even though he was like really toxic in like Tekken 7, I'm not really the biggest Fak fan. I'm really not. But like, I can see why people like him, and that's fine. Or even like Android 21 and DBFZ, I don't like her character at all. I don't. I think her character is shit, but like, that's just my opinion. Obviously, people love 21. But what I'm trying to get at though is like, most fighting games have like not so great storytelling in the story mode, and like the story mode is just like kind of buns. Now, again, it's a fighting game. It's a multiplayer game. You're not worried about making this Final Fantasy ass story, but I'm looking at it in a way where if you want people to resonate with these characters more and like have these people like actually like these characters, I think it's better you simply just have a story, like a good story mode. Like, obviously not every story mode is gonna be perfect. I'm not saying every story mode needs to be like this like Lord and this needs to be like a Lord and Savior type of mode. Like, it just needs to be like decent, not even decent. It just needs to be better. Like, most of the time when we get a story mode like in a fighting game, it's pretty shit. Like, they kind of just like go backwards. They try to add a bunch of shit. Like, they try to add returning characters that aren't supposed to be in the game, but then they add them back because they want them to be like DLC or for like hype. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like it ends up just making the story not that great. Like when they brought in Heihachi for like the chapter 2 of Tekken 8, I'm not gonna lie, I thought that shit was kind of buns. I mean, Heihachi still got aura, don't get me wrong, but I thought that story mode was kind of buns. Like, the first part was pretty cool. Like, it was awesome. I'm not gonna lie, it was really cool. But it was pretty buns. I'm not gonna spoil the story, but you get what I mean. Shit buns. I don't like it, but that's just, again, my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But who knows? Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe you guys think the story modes are good. You can also let me know in the comments if you disagree with that. Like, if you think the story modes are butt. Like, if you don't think the story modes are butt, you should probably tell me. Let me know. Give me your insight on why you don't think so. Because, again, this is a discussion video. You know what I'm saying? We gotta discuss. Alright, and then another one. A way to make you learn the game without actually teaching. Now, it's kind of rough for fighting games that do this because the single player content is not that great. Like, fighting games don't really have a way of teaching you how to play the game unintentionally. Like, for Super Smash Bros. Brawl, for example, like, that game, it had a single player mode, and like, what it basically did is it had like levels designed around the game mechanics. So you're technically learning how to play the mere basics of the game by just playing the story mode, which is crazy. Obviously it's not gonna teach you like all of like Smash stuff. Like, it's not gonna teach you how to fucking deck, for example, but it's gonna teach you a lot about the game that you don't know. And it's good. It's honestly good. It's not going to be pretty in-depth, again, like I said, but it's a good starting point, and it's great to get players to like really pick up the game and grasp it. I think we don't have a single player game that really does that. Like a fighting game that does that. Like, most of the time when a fighting game tries to do that, it doesn't really teach you how to play the game, because again, it's either a shitty beat 'em up or an RPG. It doesn't really teach you how to necessarily play the game. And like, even if like it is like even if the story mode is like the regular fighting game, for example, they typically don't do it in a fashion where like it teaches you how to play the game, but rather you're kind of just exploiting the AI. Like, I feel like the games don't really do a great job at like giving you a challenge on the AI, like having the AI like get grabbed 3 times when they have super armor and the super armor breaks. You have to like learn how to like set up like sequences where you have to like throw them and stuff, like a tick throw, for example, or a situation where like, oh, you have to hit him with a specific combo if you want like, you know, his health to go down or something, and then his health will go down the more hits you do, for example. Like, the games don't really try to do, they don't try to teach you how to play, like, without unintentionally teaching. Like, obviously, if you're trying to like put a tutorial on someone, they're not gonna care. Like, I think that's the biggest like thing I personally have with fighting games, is I don't think tutorial modes are that good to a degree. Like, yes, it'll teach people how to play the game, but like, it's gonna feel like homework to someone if you're just getting spawned in the tutorial right away. I feel like it's better you make a specific way, like having the story mode is a good start to teach people how to play the game. Like, design the enemies around the mechanics of the game. That way, they're not just mindlessly playing the game and hitting buttons, and when they hop online, none of that shit worked. You know what I'm saying? Like, Tekken isn't teaching you how to move. It's not teaching you how to like break throws. It's not teaching you how to like deal with moves and sidestep, or, you know, create space to back. Like, it doesn't do that. The story mode doesn't teach you how to do that. You're mostly exploiting the AI by doing your character's cheapest move. You know what I'm saying? Or just killing them with the bread and butter combo you practice. Like, it's not hard to deal with. So a lot of the time, it's not really teaching you how to like actually play the game. It's not teaching you anything. So I think the single player content in most of these games, I think it just needs to do a better job at like not necessarily teaching you, like, it's not necessarily like trying to like poke at you and be like, hey, do this, hey, do that, hey, do this. Like, rather, the game is kind of letting you do your own thing, and you're figuring it out as you go. Like, you see the hyper armor and you're like, huh, okay, that's kind of strange. Maybe I'll grab him. Maybe I should find a way to grab him, right? Or maybe maybe I'll find a way to do some more hits and break that armor. Like, it's gonna give players some ideas to do it, but again, that's just my opinion. If you guys disagree, let me know in the comments. And I guess for my last one is good netcode. I mean, I think fighting games just kind of suffer from not having great netcode. And these days, like, most fighting games that come out now do have rollback, which is good. It's good, but like, some of the rollbacks are pretty bad, and I think like that kind of like, that might ruin some of the player experience, especially for like hardcore fans. Because remember, you wanna appeal to the hardcore guys, and you wanna appeal to the casuals. You know what I'm saying? If you can't, like, there's only so much you can really do to please a casual. Like, you know, like, older fighting games are much harder. They weren't trying to appeal to casuals, but yet those games are praised like crazy. They are. They're praised like crazy. So I think a good online is a way to drag more people into your game. Because, you know, again, hardcore fans are going to stick with it because it's playable. And, you know, casuals are not going to complain about someone's connection being horrible. Because, let's be honest, a lot of, like, lower ranks, their connections are pretty bad. So, we need a game that could kind of handle that for a little bit, you know? But, who knows? Again, my opinion, I think good online does play a little bit into having a good fighting game product. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Alright, so I think that's it. I'm also going to bring in an honorable mention, because I think I wanted to bring this up in the beginning of the video, but I just wanted to leave it towards the end. I do not think gameplay matters. I know that sounds really crazy, but just hear me out. So, when you're playing a game, or let's just rewind, right? Let's say you've heard of a game, right? And you look at the gameplay. Obviously, you're going to have a reaction of either this game looks sick, this game looks mid, or this shit is trash. You're gonna come to that kind of conclusion at some point. But the game, if the game doesn't look that appealing, it has to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't please people like that. You know, you can't please someone that doesn't enjoy the game. Like, if the gameplay sucks to them, you can't do anything to like appeal to them. Especially if you're trying to make the game easier for you. Then they're definitely gonna say the game sucks. But I also do think the gameplay just doesn't matter in general. Cause let's be honest, a lot of the time, and I mean a lot of the time, nobody really gives a fuck about the gameplay. Like, no one really does. Like, people only care if the game just plays like fun. Like, we don't need this high in-depth gameplay. We don't need this gameplay to be like the next Third Strike, the next like King of Fighters, the next Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the next like Tekken 6. Like, we don't need that. We don't need a fighting game that just mimics an older game, or like we don't need a Smash game that plays like Melee. Like, we don't need that. We just need a game that's solid enough to hold its own, and it just needs to be a well-rounded game with a bunch of stuff you can do. Like, obviously the whole point of this video is the game needs to just be a good product, but I feel like the gameplay to some degree, I'm not saying gameplay doesn't matter at all, because it fucking does. Like, if your game plays like shit, it will play like shit and no one's gonna like it. But, like, it doesn't need to be a perfect game. Like, it doesn't need to. It does not need to. And this is coming from someone who plays Arena Fighters. Like, I have a lot of fun playing Arena Fighters, not because the gameplay's fire. Like, there's a little bit more to that than just like the gameplay. I mean, I can make a separate video on Arena Fighters themselves. Arena Fighters themselves are horrible products, if anything. But, you know, again, that's a different topic. And that is a different topic, because what you guys are seeing is this okay game at best. This game is okay. But, you know, I like Arena Fighters, so that's different. But I know this is me crazy. Like, what is an Arena Fighter guy talking about? What does he know about a good fighting game product? I can't wait to see those comments. But yeah, I think I don't really can't really speak too much on the gameplay aspect, because I feel like I would rather have you guys kind of give your 2 cents on that as well. I just think if you're trying to go for a game that everyone wants to pick up, you have to have another way that appeals to people that isn't just the gameplay. Like, if it's just the gameplay you're trying to show off, your game is gonna fucking fail. Brian F literally said that, and that's true. Like, I'm not even trying to copy him either. It is just true. Like, if your whole point of your game is to appeal to everyone purely for just the gameplay, it's gonna flop. Like, your game is gonna flop horribly. Like, it's just that simple. Like, yes, the gameplay will be awesome. It'll be amazing. It'll be brilliant. But what else? What else is there? No online, no single player, no other content whatsoever. I can't interact with the hub. I can't do a little story mode. I can't do a little time attack. I can't do a little survival mode. I can't play a shitty beat 'em up. I can't play a Jim Booty RPG. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if there's nothing else you're providing and it's just gameplay, your game is gonna fucking flop. It's just that simple. It's just that, like, you're not gonna meet expectations. And if you do if you think you're gonna meet those expectations, yeah, you're bugging. You're absolutely fried. So yeah, I think that's about it. That's pretty much my opinion on the fighting game product thing. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys think I'm crazy, if I'm not spitting facts, if I shouldn't be invited to the function again. Just let me know what you guys think. And of course, friendly comments. Like this whole video, I haven't really been like bashing on any game in particular, so let's try to keep it nice in here, all right? No fighting girls, no fighting boys. Let's keep it cool in here, okay? But yeah, I think that'll do for today's video. I think so, yeah. That's it. All right, see ya.